What's up, YouTube? It's Team Rice here, bringing you guys a Madden 19 offensive tip and the most important tip you will ever need to know to be successful in this game. Reading coverages pre and post snap. That is so crucial to be good in Madden, and it is significantly overlooked. So we're going to start in cover 3. We're going to work through cover 3, cover 1, which can be a little tricky between cover 3 and cover 1. Cover 0, which is a man blitz. Cover 2 and cover 4. Now I'm not going to cover all the specific cover 4s. They all look the exact same before you snap the ball, but they just react differently. So we're going to start into a cover 3. Don't really care about the offensive play. The most important things to recognize: every single time pre-snap, you're looking at the secondary. What I mean by that, you're looking at the corners. How far are they off the line? You're looking at the safeties. Is there a safety playing into the box or playing the flats? Is there and then the other safety's playing over the top, as you can see right here. We got one safety that's playing about 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. This guy right here is going to be going into a middle third. Now this shouldn't be like that, but this guy is generally going to be off the line of scrimmage. These two corners right here, Lattimore and Crowley, are going to be about even, more or less, and they cover 3. Now, he was kind of pressed right here. I don't know why he was pressed. He really shouldn't be. But this can kind of look like a cover 1. We'll get into that a little bit later. So, we're going to go ahead, snap the ball. I'm going to put all these guys into spies. I'm going to get off Crowley, get on to D-line. We're going to go ahead and snap the ball. You can see the safety drops to the flats. We've got the corners dropping deep. We've got that safety dropping deep into middle third. The corner's dropping in an outside thirds. And you notice this guy followed him. Got the wrong controller. This guy followed him. That's kind of cover 3 principle works right now. But that's how you kind of read a cover 3 pre and post snap. Now, it can be a little tricky because if they do something like a baseline, you now have changed it significantly. If they baseline every single play, the play is going to look the exact same every single time. Now, oftentimes when people baseline, they're going to be sending a blitz at you. So for reading a baseline defense pre-snap, it's near impossible, I'll be honest with you. You got to figure out what your opponents tend to call. If they usually call a cover 2 and they're just baselining every single time, which I recommend not doing. It's not useful in every situation. Actually hurts you sometimes. You're going to have to make a read pre-snap. So I'm going to make sure all these guys are dropped into coverage. So since we kind of already know, let's just assume our opponent's been running this cover 3 the same exact way. This safety right here is going to drop to the flats. This safety is going to drop to middle third, corner third, other corner, outside third as well. So we're going to go ahead and make a read. Pre-snap, watch the safety. The safety drops down in kind of the flats a little late. We've got the corners dropping into middle thirds. We've got that one corner of Marshall and Lattimore on the left side. He kind of follows a little post slant, whatever you want to call it. I think it's considered a post for how he follows it. But that's how you can make a read post snap if they do a baseline every single time. Now, cover 2 and cover 4 can sometimes be a little tricky. The reason for that is the safeties are going to be playing the same depth. The corners are going to be playing different depths. So we're going to go, I'm going to actually set an audible real fast. So reading a cover 2 can sometimes be a little tricky, but the big difference between a cover 2 shell and a cover 4 shell pre-snap, if they don't baseline, is you can look at these corners, Crowley and Lattimore, and you notice they're about 3 to 4, somewhere around there, yards off of the line of scrimmage. Now we got our safeties playing in a deep half. This guy's going to cover, if I could show you this half, the left half of the hash marks. This guy's going to cover the right side of the hash. Now this mid-read, depending on the route combination you have on the field, will sometimes play the vertical threat, but not often. The way to read the cover 2 is you're going to just watch the corners drop down to the flats. Now, I'm not talking like flat, like a hard flat, but cover the flats generally. A cloud flat's going to cover corner outs is what it's designed to do. So, go ahead and make a read post snap. You can see these corners are dropping down into the flats. We've got safeties dropping into deep halves. And the best way to attack a cover 2 is just to split the safeties. That's the best way to attack it. Or you can split the safeties down the middle, or you can split it between the cloud flat or whatever flat they have, and the safeties on the sideline. The only thing is you got to have a good, fast receiver. Now, cover 4 I was talking about, and I just realized I just already had the audible set up. Cover 4 can be tricky because of how it can sometimes look like a cover 2. Now, the way that I might disguise the corners in what somebody else might do. Now, this is incorrect again. He's going to be dropped back about 8 yards. We have the safeties dropped back about the same distance as they were in a cover 2. We've got the corners dropped back, sometimes varying 8 to 10 yards. I don't understand why he continuously presses this one side, but he won't. Oftentimes, a cover 4 is going to look something like this. You've got every single defensive back covering a deep zone. And then you have the outside linebackers covering the flats, the middle linebacker, the 3-yard cook, generally is designed to cover short routes such as drags, slants, in routes, nothing deep. It's not their assignment. So pre-snap, you just got to look at this, the entire secondary as a whole. Are the corners back about 8 yards, equivalent to a cover 3? Are the safeties about on the outside hips of your tackles, and are they even with each other? If one of the safeties are dropped down like this, unless they manually move them, this is more than likely a cover 3 as soon as they break out. If it's like this, it's a cover 3. But if they're both dropping back, you have all secondary backed off the line, this is going to be a cover 4. Now post snap, again, post snap is the second most important thing in this entire game in order for you to make a correct read. So we're going to go ahead, watch the corners drop back into the deep coverage. Now this corner on the left side of the screen is probably going to follow Julio Jones, so just keep that in mind. Make it a little easier on you guys. I'm going to go ahead, hit play the stick, so they just drop into those zones specifically. So snap the ball, you can see everybody's dropping back deep. We have 4 deep defenders. We've got the linebackers dropping into the flats, and we have that one middle linebacker playing a 3-route cook. You notice how he kind of plays his slants. He kind of plays those short routes. You can notice anything about 15, 20 yards off the line, he's not going to cover, simply because that is not his assignment. That is how you can read a cover 4 playing the snicks. Now, it's going to be different if it's quarters. Again, the same principle applies. Just make sure you make the correct read. Now, a cover 2, we're going to go into thunder smoke. Actually, I'm going to go into shotgun. The shotgun will give you guys a little bit better of a visual of how a cover 0 or a man blitz will look. Let's just go into OLB fire. So you notice one side of the ball, one side of the line is completely stacked, and everybody is manned up. Now we've got 2 blitzing linebackers. We've got this guy right here, and then we have him right here. These 2 guys are going to be coming in, so they're sending 6 at you currently. Now, the way to recognize a man blitz, again, unless they baseline, is you notice everybody is matched up. Now, let me be very clear here. There is a option to do a man align. Now, oftentimes people won't man align if they're in a zone coverage because it messes up the zone coverage. But it is possible for somebody to just be very unique and do a man align in some sort of zone coverage. One thing also that's important to note is a cover 3 match will sometimes look like this. So just keep that in mind and make sure you make your reads pre as well as post snap. Now what I mean by that very briefly, pre-snap, I haven't hiked the ball, right? That's pre-snap. Post-snap, I've already hiked the ball. I'm looking for the open receiver. Both of those phases are extremely important if you want to be anywhere near successful or good at the game. Unless you don't want to be good at the game, you really don't care to make reads. But that's the biggest thing a lot of people just overlook. And so here's how I would recognize it post snap. I'm actually go ahead and just do a max protect. We're gonna go ahead and snap the ball. Now probably it's gonna send 7 right here because we did do a max protect. But you notice everybody on the left side of the field that was manned up is now being followed. It's a man on man. It's a 1-on-1. There's no zones unless they make adjustments behind it. Now, going into baseline. Oops, wrong controller. Going into baseline. This could be a little tricky because frequently people may baseline a lot. The catch with this is it can sometimes mess up the man coverage. Like sometimes this corner may end up still manned up on Julio Jones. It's not very common, but it is a possibility. But again, it's all about making a read post snap. So we're going to go ahead and hike the ball. I'm going to block my running back right here. Snap the ball. He's sending 6, and he's not getting blocked. But you can see everybody is manned up. Now this corner will normally play this tight end over. Let me show you the baseline real fast. Crowley will normally play his tight end because he's manned up to him, but because I was on him, he didn't. So for any kind of blitz, it's often best to make a read pre-snap. Now this isn't a correct baseline either, but it's going to be in the game. This is practice mode. It's not very good. So next, we've got a cover one. A cover one generally has a short little 3-rec hook to play short routes, and then you've got a middle third to play oftentimes a good post route, and then everybody else is in man coverage. This could be a little tricky. I'll be honest, it can be tough for anybody. Again, you notice we have a safety that's playing a lot further than he would in man coverage. We've got him in a middle third, this guy in a 3-rec hook. The key to reading a cover one is it can be tricky. It can be really hard to read a cover one pre-snap because it may look like a man blitz. It may look like a cover 3 sometimes, especially if you're in a balanced or even a gun bunch. Gun bunch is going to make it look like a cover 3 every single time. But the big difference between a cover 3 and a cover 1, especially if you're in a... I'll actually show you guys. Ideally, now this looks like more like a cover 3. You notice that these corners, this corner right here, Crowley, he's moving. He's backed off about 7 yards. Same with this guy, Marshawn Lattimore. And then, I was about to say Tevin Coleman, whoever that guy is, he's dropped about 20 yards. This looks like a cover 3. Frequently, this is what it's going to look like when you come out in gun bunch. Now, if you come out in a trips formation, like trips tight end, gun tray wide flex, all those good formations, it's going to look a lot more like a man defense. The giveaway to this is oftentimes looking at how they're lined up. Now, you notice the linebacker right here is lined up. Now, again, they could do a man align and a bunch formation, and it'd work a little bit better than if they were in a trips formation and make it a little tricky to do. But for the most part, you're going to look at the linebacker. If it was a cover 3, sometimes the linebacker is actually going to play inside the box a little bit more. Let's just go to cover 3. You can see he's not exactly manned up, and I don't know what the fluff this safety is doing, but this safety, what the crap, man? That shouldn't be like that, but okay then. He's not, that safety would normally come down into the flats, and he's not going to be manned up. He's not going to be really pressed too much either. This guy, you notice when we came out of a cover 3, he was directly over the tight end. He moved into the box just a little bit more, so he's no longer perfectly aligned. This is kind of how you can identify a cover 3 versus a cover 1, depending on how the safety is positioned. If the safety is more in a pressed position, it's more likely a cover 1. If he's backed off, it's more than likely a cover 3. So that can get a little tricky. Now, cover 2 man, it can sometimes be a little difficult to read pre-snap as well. But we're going to go ahead, audible back into we're going to get back into cover 1. Guess we can audible into it. Principal, cover 1 hole. Now I'd like to point out there's other kind of cover 1s as well. There's another cover 1 where there is a blitzing linebacker, and you kind of have to just recognize that pre-snap because it can look the same as a cover 1 hole or a cover, I think it's like a cover 1 blitz or cover 1 something to that effect. The difference between the two is you still have that middle third, but that 3-rec hook is now gone in a cover 1 hole. So you notice everybody is lined up. This may look like a cover 3, but go ahead, snap the ball. And we'll see we've got the middle linebacker and their 3-rec hook. We've got the safety dropping back deep, and then everybody else is manned up. Provided I'm not on the corner, you will be manned up. So that's how you can recognize a cover 1 post snap. Now, lastly is a cover 2 man. This can be a little tricky. We're going to go into popular, like this is going to represent trips tight end. Can sometimes be difficult. Again, it's not very hard. If they do base align, which most people don't base align if they're in a man coverage, but if they do, again, the key to this is reading it post snap. You're not going to be successful in this Madden or any Madden to come if you can't make any reads on the offense about what defense they are in. So you notice everybody is lined up man to man. We've got a linebacker mismatch with Julio Jones. So I would attack that. I would put Julio Jones on a streak, a slant, a drag, an in route, an out route, and a smart route. I mean, there's a lot of things. This is just, you're going to take advantage of that all day long. So this is just how you'd read it pre-snap. You've got everybody manned up to the trips. Post snap, they're still manned up. I'm still in the corner. Post snap, I'm gonna hop off the corner. Post snap, get me off. There we go. He's now manned up. Everybody's manned up, and you can see this is actually a very, very good defense, and we get no reaction right there. Almost awesome. But that's how you can kind of read cover 2 pre and post snap. Now, if they do baseline, you're gonna have to make it pre-snap. You can't make it. You can't just predict or expect. Again, the baseline isn't working properly. But whatever. You got to read pre-snap. And Julio Jones wide open. That's a mismatch, and Julio Jones is easily going to get leverage on a linebacker. So that is gonna wrap up this video. I think that covered it all. We went through cover 1, cover 4, cover 3, cover 2, cover 0, cover 2 man. Yeah. Can't think of it. Well, then you got cover 9. We'll go over cover 6 real fast also. Cover 6 is unique because it's a hybrid between cover 2 and a cover 4. It has both principles of a cover 4 quarters and a Tampa 2 on the field at the exact same time. So you got to understand both of those very well to be able to run it. So I'm just going to come out. I don't even honestly care. To recognize a cover 6, if they do not baseline, you're looking at the corners. Now, this is kind of screwed up. This guy is going to be pressed. He's not going to be like that. He's going to be dropping back into what a cover 4 might look like. He's probably going to be standing around here-ish. Now, this corner over here is playing it correctly. He's going to be playing down like a cover 2. This is kind of how you can recognize if they're in a cover 6. Cover 9 is just a variation of a cover 6. It's kind of like a cover 6 flipped. So this is kind of how you can recognize a cover 9 or a cover 6 pre-snap. You look at you're looking at the secondary. Secondary almost always gives it away every single time. Look, is there a one corner that is down in the flats? Is there another corner backed off? If so, you're dealing with a cover 6. You're dealing with a match principle on the side where the corner is backed off about 8 yards, and you're dealing with a cover 2 of the side of where the corner is pressed. We've got Marshall Lattimore, right? Yeah, we've got Marshall Lattimore pressed on Julio Jones. Pretty good matchup, I'll be honest. But this is kind of how you can recognize a cover 6. Now, for the next few videos, I'm going to be going over how to attack every single one of these coverages, not with glitchy plays, but how you would actually attack them, just in case you guys are struggling with this. But that's going to wrap up this video of how you're going to recognize every single different coverage. I'll do one final thing, a really quick baseline. Make sure I'm off this. Now, baseline, again, it's all about reading pre-snap, not post-snap, or post-snap, not pre-snap. This guy, again, this game is just full of stupid things. That's not a baseline. Baseline's going to line up with the corner that's dropping back into the outside quarter. This game drives me nuts sometimes how it doesn't work. But, again, read it pre-snap. One corner is going to drop down to the safety. Now, if you were to play the sticks, that outside quarter is going to just drop all the way back into coverage. He's not going to play that little spot route. He's just going to drop all the way back, no questions asked. And it's just going to play like a cover 4 one side, cover 2 another. We're going to insert replay. That wasn't quite the best visual of it, but we're going to zoom out. You can see we've got the corner dropping into the flats on the left side of the field. We've got the corner on the right side of the field, kind of playing a little match principle, but then still dropping down into the outside quarter. So that's kind of how you would recognize a cover 6. Yeah, but that's going to take care of all the video of recognizing all the defenses you guys need. If you have any questions about how you might recognize adjustments, let me know down in the comment section and I will answer it, or I will probably make a video, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about making reads if your opponent's actually a good player, and if they're staying like one coverage, like a Tampa 2 out of nickel 3-3-5, for example. A good player is going to make adjustments, and it's going to look completely different than what you see on the previous play. So, until next time, as always, get in the lab. This has been T-Meister. See ya.